Happy Monday. Hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to make this video today to show you guys a little bit about my morning feeding and enrichment prep routine. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I use a portion of my dog's breakfast to make some frozen enrichment toys for them for the rest of the day. I'm going to be using the West Paw Quizzle, I think that's how you say it, toy today. But what I'm doing could really be used with any number of stuffable food toys, like a Kong or really anything that you can shove food into. This is one of my favorites though, because there's so many different ways that you can use it. So I already have my dog's food measured out into their bowls. They get fed a cooked diet, so we have to measure out a certain amount every day. I think it's really important that you take into account what you're adding into your dog's diet. So if you're going to be using something other than their daily food, it's really important, in my opinion, to take out some of their daily food, think about those extra calories, things like that, so we're not adding in too many extra treats, too many extra things like that, especially days in times like these when we're home a lot more and we need to enrich our dogs a lot more. We don't want them gaining a lot of extra weight. So I have my dog's food measured out in their bowls, and I'm going to be using a portion of that to stuff their treats for later. So if you don't have a cooked diet like my dogs, like many people don't, easy enough to just use a little bit of wet food or take their dry food and soak it in some water or some broth for a little while to soften it up. Many different options. You can just add something wet. Like today I'm going to be adding a little bit of Greek yogurt as well. So just something wet to make things a little bit goopier to stuff into something. So what I'm going to do is I have a little bit of bone broth here as well. So I'm going to be adding a little bit of that to their food. That's just something that I normally do every morning because I think bone broth is a really good thing to add to your dog's food. So just adding a little bit of that to each one of their bowls here. And they would normally get a hard-boiled egg in their food every morning, but I have to boil those when I'm done with this, so that'll be in their dinner tonight. Just going to mix up their food here with that little bit of bone broth. And this is just from Whole Foods, but you can get bone broth like anywhere these days, pet stores, grocery stores. This is chicken. I use chicken and beef. So I want this to be nice and pureed because I'm going to shove it into this food toy here. So what I actually do is I put it in my little magic ninja food processor thing, but it's not really necessary. It's whatever you kind of have at home. So I'm just going to take a couple of scoops of each dog's food and I'm going to toss it into my little food processor thing here, using about maybe a third of their breakfast here. They haven't had their breakfast yet this morning, so I'm going to take about a third of their breakfast and toss it into here. That should be probably about enough for each dog to fill up their little treat. And then, just to give it a little something different, I'm going to take a little scoop of Greek yogurt and I'm going to throw it in there too. 1 scoop for each dog, a little bit of Greek yogurt. I'm going to toss that in there. And then I'm just going to blend it up for a couple seconds till it gets nice and creamy. Make sure it's nice and blended. Can't forget to put the top on. Good, so now it's got this nice, yummy, delicious consistency and it smells lovely. All right, so now, what I'm going to do now that I've got this beautiful mixture here is I'm going to take my toy, and I have a little bully stick too. So I have these little 5-inch, 6-inch bully sticks, and I'm going to stick it into one end of the toy. This is going to make the enrichment last a little bit longer, and it's also going to help the goop not fall out of the end of the toy. Because if you've ever used these, you know that if you put goop into one end, it falls out really, really easily. So I'm going to use this to stick into one end, and then I'm going to shove the goop into the other end and stuff it. Can get a little messy. I use like a little stick thing to shove it down in, shove it full. Stick it all in there so it's getting all on the inside. Shove it nice and full. I have the bully stick like an inch or two on the inside. Stick it in. Might pull it out a little bit more so that I can get the mixture all the way on the inside. Such a lovely sound too. Nice and full. There we go. Make sure that the end with the bully stick gets some in there too. So I'm just gonna flip it over, shove it around the end with the bully stick. So that's a little bit harder to get out because these are gonna get frozen. Shove that in again a little bit more. I know the cat wants some. Make sure that it's kind of bursting out at the seams there. I want to make sure it's nice and full. Bully stick on one end. So some variations you could do of this is sometimes I don't use a bully stick and I'll put carrots on either end, or if I have some nice thick like chunky liver treats or something, I'll stick those on each end, or sometimes I don't put anything on the ends and I just have the food coming out of each side. So it really just kind of depends on what you want to do. If you're going to use a Kong, you know, you could fill your Kong up with the goo and stick the bully stick on the inside, or whatever, you know, stick a carrot on the inside of the Kong. Just something to make it a little bit more interesting. And then my final step is going to be some peanut butter. So take a little, this is a brand new jar, I gotta open it up. Take a little bit of peanut butter and just kind of cover those outside bits. And that's just to make sure that they want to get going. Because once this is frozen for a couple of hours, it's just going to be like frozen meat on the outside. And sometimes that can be a little strange to just lick at. So I'm just going to cover the outside slats here in a little bit of peanut butter. A little bit of peanut butter coating there. This is just Trader Joe's creamy no stir peanut butter. A little bit of peanut butter on the end. And that's it. So now I have a nice, beautiful, fun enrichment treat for later. That's gonna go in the freezer for probably 2 or 3 hours. And then this afternoon, they will get to chomp on that. And it'll be nice and fun. It'll probably take each of them like a half an hour. So that's why I love these things so much, because with those little ridges on the inside, it takes quite a long time for them to get everything out. And Moxie can be a little bit picky about her food toys because she has a hard time getting things out of Kongs, and she never, ever, ever gives up on that one. So I love this one a lot. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, get to stuff in your food toys.